a little bit here and just talk about what we're thankful for in the pest control industry.
It's a blue collar industry. There's opportunities for people to start a company even if they don't have a master's degree or a professional degree. And that also applies to employees.
Pest control provides really good margins in ROI with limited experience and limited skills, and even better ROI when you advance those skills. So welcome to the Bug Bucks podcast, a podcast designed to help you become a bug money millionaire. Today's episode is brought to you by Bug Bucks Plus, the #1 course designed to help you start and grow your pest control company. I am your host, Eric Bassett, and of course, I've got your other host, Alan Draper, with me. How's it going, man? What's new in your world?
Not a whole lot, but a whole lot, you know? I always say that. Like, people ask me, hey, Alan, you have anything new going on? And it's like, yeah, always something new, but it's not necessarily new for me. So if there wasn't something new, then it would be like, oh, okay, something different's going on. So
if there's not something new, that's the new thing going on.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think at this level, there's always something new. So
always something. Yep.
Got to keep it interesting. Cool. Well, hey, before we dive into today's episode, just want to remind everybody listening, the best way to receive new episodes is by subscribing to our show on your preferred podcast platform like Apple, Google, Audible, or Spotify. If you love the show, please leave us a rating and a review. One last reminder, if you haven't joined our Facebook group, go to Bug Bucks. That is BUGBUX. We've got over 3,600 other pest control owners in that group waiting to connect with you and share their thoughts. That's also the best way for you to share your feedback on our show and have your questions highlighted and discussed here on the podcast. So make sure you find us on Facebook and join the group. So today is going to be a special episode, Alan. I think it's probably going to drop either right on Thanksgiving or maybe even the day before Thanksgiving. We'll have to kind of see how the schedule works out. But we wanted to take a little bit here and just talk about what we're thankful for in the pest control industry so far in our pest control careers. So do you want to take a swing at this first, and then we'll just kind of go back and forth?
Yeah. You know, it's funny because we've said it 1,000 times and everybody in the industry's heard it 1,000 times that you don't really choose a career in the pest control industry.
Mm-hmm.
And it's true, and that's what kind of makes it funny. And you know, I was a lawyer. I was practicing law, and I quit that to start a pest control company in Detroit. And the rest, as they say, is history. And I just love the industry. I'm thankful for so much about our industry that a lot of people, myself included, we take for granted sometimes. There's some really cool things about the bug industry, and we could dive into, you know, each one, but I'll rattle off a few just off the top of my head. Our industry does really well in economic downturns. We're not recession or downturn proof, but we're definitely more stable than some businesses. In some cases, look at COVID, pest control actually accelerated. There was a ton of opportunity there when that happened. So we're just, it's a very resilient industry. And, you know, next to air conditioning / heat, in terms of a home service, pest control is going to be up there. People don't, unless you screw something up, there's a better offer, somebody moves, people aren't really going to stop, having pest control. So there's that. I love that. It's stable. Let's call it that. It's a very stable industry.
Definitely. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, just to touch on something that you mentioned, like you said, nobody really plans on becoming a pest control professional, right?
Yeah.
And I'm actually really, really thankful and grateful that pest control opens up the doors to all these other different parts of the business that you can end up becoming really good at, Because you imagine all the different kind of companies that you can get roped into at an early age when you're kind of impressionable and you're looking to make money and, you're kind of desperate. You're like, oh man, I gotta do something. And of all the different things you could get roped into, pest control provides a really good opportunity for you, right? You don't usually look back once you've been in the industry 8-10 years and think, oh my gosh, I really sincerely wish I would have gone a different way. And obviously it kind of depends on the person, maybe. But I mean, I'm kind of shocked. Sometimes I think about where I am now compared to where I was when I first joined the industry, and that was 15, 16 years ago. And I never thought that these opportunities were going to be here, right? And those are opportunities for people who don't have a whole lot of college. You don't have a whole lot of secondary degrees. You don't have a whole lot of huge additional experience. If you really have the drive and the passion and you want to serve others and put your shoulder to the wheel, you can get a lot done in a pest control industry. And I think the first thing that I had kind of on my mental list has to do with that. It's there's a low barrier to entry, right, with pest control companies. Low enough that you can really kind of create a pest control company and start acquiring customers and start servicing accounts within a few months, maybe even quicker if you've got a previous experience, right? So, that in itself is kind of amazing. You don't need a whole ton of additional licensing. Obviously, there are some minimums that you need to have. But on the same token, if you do have some specialized skills, then those will take you very far in the pest control industry. So if you think about it, maybe you have some person skills, right? You've got door knocking in your pocket, and as an owner operator, you can go out, you can acquire customers from a door knocking perspective. And you can lead teams, you can recruit. That's a huge advantage for growth in the pest control industry. Maybe you have a little bit of marketing experience. That's a huge advantage in the pest control industry, right? If you're a data analytics person, that can definitely be a big advantage, or if you're just a straight up blue collar, hard working dude or woman, that can be a huge advantage, right? So pest control has a really good relationship. I should say a really good ROI on some additional skills that you bring to the table, right? And it's not one of those industries, that you get into, and in order to get a good ROI on it, you have to have so much other acumen in order to even scratch the surface, right? Pest control provides really good margins in ROI with limited experience and limited skills, and even better ROI when you advance those skills. So that was just kind of the one thing that was right off the tip of my brain there.
Yeah, I like that. Low barrier to entry for sure. And a lot of folks getting started will kind of disagree with you.
Sure.
Like, hey, it's just because it's a low barrier doesn't mean it's easy.
No.
So those aren't the same thing. So there's also, comparatively, if I want to start like a auto dealership, for example, you're probably going to need some more capital, or at least, connections to capital in order to do something like that. You don't even need a brick and mortar to start a pest control company. You could, run it out of your truck that you already own or whatever. So, another thing that I like and that I'm thankful for regarding the pest control industry is that and I'm trying not to jinx myself on this, but it's a little bit disruption proof. And I think that's for a couple of reasons. One, I think it's because it's not a very sexy industry. It's, let's face it, in terms of, the societal view of pest control, we're down toward the bottom. And you know what? I'm very happy to be there. Just leave us alone. But and it's because of this idea that people don't aspire to get into the pest control industry. People want to be lawyers. They want to be engineers. They want to start like tech companies. They want to be in marketing and all this sexy, cool stuff. And so I think that's one reason. I think a lot of capital, companies and entrepreneurs with a lot of capital will probably go do something else. Another reason why I think it's disruption proof, or, to some extent, is that it's regulated. So we talk about, what would be the true disruption it would be like flying drones and having drones do the service.
Yeah.
Like, and I think the departments of ag would have a issue with that. And I think it would be difficult. What if they need interior service, or you need to, so there's some logistical things. And because of this combination of, it's not a sexy industry, it's a grinded out industry, like you were kind of talking about. And because of the regulation, it makes it pretty recession resistant, I should say, not proof, because I think there's ways that within the industry we can disrupt it ourselves through how we're dealing with customers, how we're billing, what our communication is with customers, how we're training technicians. I think there's ways to get a really good niche for yourself and become different and unique. But in terms of like, one of my buddies always says, well, if Amazon were to get into the pest control industry, what would they do? And it's like, man, that's a good question. Outside of like, I mentioned drones or some type of automated service. I don't know how or why they would do it. So I love that because it leaves space for us, blue collar hustlers to, carve out a really nice life for ourselves.
Yeah, and when you think about disruptions in the industry, the main thing that comes to my mind are, companies like the DIY companies, Yeah. You think Pesty, and I mean, there's probably, I see like a new one every few months that looks exactly the same. It's, hey, we'll send you the professional products, you do it yourself and save hundreds of dollars a year on pest control. And what's funny is that, companies like doyourownpestcontrol.com have been around for over a decade.
Yeah.
And whenever I talk to pest control operators who seem a little bit threatened by that kind of idea, I say, hey, what customers are purchasing when it comes to your service, it's not the products. Okay, definitely not the products. If that's what you're selling the wrong thing here. They're purchasing the service, right? In their mind, they've agreed that their time would be better spent doing more things, whether it's time with their family, time in their jobs. The ROI is better if they don't do their own pest control service. And you're providing the expertise, right? So there's all these ideas that could be disruptors for pest control in the industry. But realistically, if you focus on providing a very good, curated service that is tied to customers' wins, the odds that this industry is going to be disrupted are very, very, very slim, right? So that's
I think
really
it's interesting
what
that you mentioned doityourself.com or doityourselfpestcontrol.com because, and I don't know if I'm necessarily proud of this, but back in the day, like when we first started Proof, I bought because they would have loss leaders. So they'd have a bottle of Phantom or whatever, and it was super cheap. So I'd buy like 50 of them or, so I was like going there but you're exactly right. This industry is really cool because our job is best done when people aren't thinking about us. So it makes it really rare. It's kind of like your AC guy, kind of like your pool guy. It's like if I'm thinking about my AC guy, it's because my AC's not working and I need to call him or her or the pool person or whatever. And so you make those touches, those encounters with them very special. And you make sure that because as you mentioned, it's service, it's something personal, and they like it best, and we do our job best when we're not at the top of their mind.
100%. Yep. And before we dive into some of these other items here, we're just going to take a quick moment to highlight one of our premier sponsors of the BugBucks Plus platform. So if you're looking for a way to drive 5-star reviews, employee and customer engagement, and provide additional tips and bonuses for your team members, Applause is the platform for you. Applause makes it easy with their streamlined online platform and app. They give your management team clear and detailed reporting and provide competitive leaderboards that drive employee engagement. And these are just a few of the benefits that Applause delivers. To learn more about how Applause can take your company to the next level, visit ApplauseHQ.com and remember to ask about special BugBucks Plus discounts. So on that same note with Applause.
That's awesome. I was going to say, about 5-star reviews, you guys just hit a really cool milestone at Natura. And That's awesome. So it's like 4.9 stars with 2,000 reviews, and I was like, dang, dude, that's a really big deal. And congratulations, man. It's not easy to do.
Thank you. Yeah, we honestly, I wish I was as intentional about getting reviews from the beginning. I didn't say this in the post, but when I joined Natura, and I think up until like 2019, maybe even 2020, we were at like 150 reviews, 100, 200 reviews. So within, a few years, we were able to increase that almost tenfold. With some of the platforms that we've used, and Applause has been the best platform we've used so far. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, thank you. On the same kind of note, when it comes to employee engagement, one thing I wanted to say that I was thankful for, and the experience was a little bit different for us because we started in the door-to-door space, but I think it goes both ways. It's the impact that you're able to have on the lives of your employees and your team members, and be able to kind of scale your pest control companies and deliver these sometimes life-changing opportunities to people is amazing. When we were doing door knocking, we were paying some of these door knockers. I mean, these guys were 21, 22 years old, and they were making, $50,000, $60,000, $100,000 a summer. And I know that's not everybody's cup of tea. That's okay. But I can't deny the positive impact that it had on some of these younger guys. And it completely changed the way that they thought about how they could make money. And that kind of impact was huge. And then, even some of the team members that we have, the standard employees that we have in the business, when we talk to them now, it's, hey, I want to know where you want to be. I want to know where pest control can take you, right? Let's talk about what your position in this company looks like in 1 year, 3 years, 5 years. Let's really execute on your professional dreams. And for me, that's the best part about pest control ownership. And I know that sometimes the scalability and the way that you are able to develop employees isn't so readily available in other industries. And in pest control, I think it's great.
Yeah, and you mentioned earlier that, it's a blue collar industry. There's opportunities for people to start a company, even if they don't have a master's degree or a professional degree. And that also applies to employees. So not only is there an opportunity to make an impact on people on the consumer facing side of it, which there definitely is. We've helped solve problems for people, and I have a voicemail still on my phone that it's almost 10 years old now, from this lady, and she called to thank me for helping her out with her rodent situation in her house, and she broke down and started crying, and we all have stories like that of where we've impacted people on the consumer side, and we have them on the personnel side too. And what's tough is sometimes, because we have these cavemen survivalistic brains, anything that's negative, it sticks out to us. We remember it more, and it feels like it's the more likely of the scenarios for something negative to happen. But if you think of, and that definitely comes, to light with rings true, I should say, with personnel, with people quitting on you, at the worst possible time, not showing up for work, doing really terrible stuff. And trust me, I have a list. I need to write it down. But more often than those occurrences are, the days where people come to work, they show up, they do a great job, they go home to their families, they stay safe, they have a reasonable wage so that they can provide for their families, and all these things while they're making friends at work, while they're enjoying their jobs. And so I love this industry because you can make an impact, especially with the people that work within your company.
100%. Yep. Yeah, and I know we're running a little bit short on time. I just want to list off one quick one. We'll kind of turn it back to you for some closing thoughts. This is one we've talked about on the show before, and it obviously rings true to especially to people who are listening right now. I'm so thankful that whether it's new or not, that we have a community of other pest control professionals that we've built that are willing to share all their thoughts and ideas and concerns and questions, and that we kind of have created this community that's designed to help improve one another and our businesses. I think I've told this story before. I remember, in one of the pest control companies I worked for a long time ago, I thought that could be a cool idea. Hey, maybe we should do like a little business networking meeting with other pest control owners, and I think the idea was shot down pretty quick. It's like, hey, we can't be doing that. We can't be giving away our proprietary information and talking about our key advantages in the marketplace. What are you thinking, And I think, right around 2019, 2020, with COVID and other things going on, some of that networking really started taking off, and then with the Facebook group that you made and other opportunities, we really kind of capitalized on that. And it's provided so much value to me, as a pest control owner, hearing other people's experiences and implementing changes in my company. And it's also been pretty fulfilling, me being able to help out other business owners. I can hop into the Facebook group, ask a question, and if I needed to, I could probably hop on a phone call with any pest control company, whether it's, a few times smaller than mine or a few times bigger than mine. And that's the consistent thing with our community. It's being willing to help and being a little bit transparent with some of the numbers that people usually aren't transparent about.
Yeah.
Right. So, you guys listening, thank you. Thank you for being who you are and being willing to help, everybody scale and grow and up-level their businesses and their professional lives.
Yeah, 100%. Probably my favorite thing about the pest control industry, with the recurring revenue being number two. I love that aspect of it. But the networking and community, and I'm involved, a lot of in a bunch of different industries, from law to software, and pest control industry is special with this. And now there are some people that it's a zero-sum game. And they think if I help this other company that it takes money out of my pocket, takes an employee, away from my company or whatever. And I've learned over the years that there's a couple of things. One, if I told everybody exactly what I know, they still wouldn't be able to do it. And I think it would be impossible for me to actually put into words everything I know. A lot of it's just like, I wouldn't know till it came to me, a situation came to me. The other thing is, a lot of things that we say, it may not be the right fit for somebody else. It may not fit their company for where they're headed, and because we're so unique. But ultimately, there are some people that would, even if it did affect their business somehow, they would still give, they would still offer advice in this industry because they enjoy it. They feel like, I love those conversations online about people complaining about pest control companies. And I don't actually like the complaining so much as I like the purpose. Like they shouldn't do it. There's a better way to do it. But the purpose behind it is, hey, this is our industry and we're going to protect it. This company was doing X, Y, Z, and they shouldn't have been doing it. And, and sometimes people take it a little far, but the purpose behind that I love. It's not just my company. It's also my industry. And we've seen that in the Bug Bucks Facebook group. Congratulations to Eric and Hunter. They both just had babies with their wives at really close to the same time, within a week of each other. And there was a post in there about the new Bug Bucks babies, and so you guys need to go check that out. But when I came across it, over 1,300 people had seen it. There were hundreds of likes. There was knocking on 100 comments. Didn't have anything to do with pest control at all, except for we're all in this together. So I thought that was awesome. It's one of my favorite things, something I'm very thankful for in the pest control industry, and that's the networking. There's very few people. There's less than 5% of the industry that if you ask them for something, piece of advice or whatever, no matter what level of competitor they are, that they wouldn't give that to you. And I have a story, going back probably 7 years. This large company, well-known company, it was a door-to-door competitor of ours. And one day I called up the owner and talked to him about insurance. And I saw him for the first time in years at Pest World this year in Honolulu. I saw him sitting on a couch, and I walked over to him. I'm like, dude, you probably don't remember. And it wasn't really that big of a deal, but it was a really big deal.
Yeah.
And so something I love about this industry.
Yeah, man. Well, it's, every day I think about where I'm at, and I'm really, really grateful. And I hope you guys listening take a moment to just kind of think about what you've accomplished and what you can accomplish and how amazing that is. So thank you, everybody, for listening in today. If you have a friend, a coworker, manager, or even, an owner that you think could benefit from listening to this episode, share it with them. And again, thank you so much for listening. Make sure you join the Bug Bucks Facebook group. That's BUGBUX. And until we catch you guys next time, keep building those pest control companies.
If you enjoyed today's episode, please show your support by subscribing and leaving us a 5-star rating. Thank you, and we'll catch you on next week's episode.